All right. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Hello Hair Pro podcast. What's going on, Jen?
Nothing.
Okay, cool.
I have a
So
day off. It's wonderful.
we recently passed our 4-year anniversary at
Whoop
Hello.
whoop.
Yeah, woo woo. And we're going to share some, I guess, lessons or things we've learned or discovered along the way.
Yes. I made a list.
Oh, cool.
Mm.
Go ahead.
You want
Fire
me to go?
away.
Really?
What?
You want me to start?
I don't know. I
Okay.
can start if you want. Whatever.
No, it's okay. So I made a list because I didn't want to forget about anything. And I think
Okay.
for me, the learn, I
For
guess,
you,
is
you forget about stuff. So,
I do forget about stuff. So my first thing that I'll say I guess I learned and accepted this year, so that's kind of a big deal too, is hiring and firing. So my last salon, I was always scared to hire too much. I was always scared to rock the boat. And I felt a prisoner to the staff. So if they didn't like something, like I was never going to do it. And if they liked the team, then I'm not going to add to it. I didn't want to disrupt it. And with this salon,
that's
I've
what you mean by
learned,
rock the boat. You didn't want to
yeah, like you bring
disrupt
on
the
someone
flow of,
new, and
yep.
if they don't like it, then they're outraged. And
Yeah.
I was just driven in a different way. And what I've learned with Hello, I mean, we have a fairly big space, and with the changing ways that staff wants to work rather than fight it, we learned to embrace it, and they may want to work less shifts and have more flexibility and time. So we realized coming into the year we had to have a bigger team, and that might mean they're all working less days, but it allows us to give them the freedoms and flexibility they want, and it also allows us to run our business the way we need to be financially stable. So what I really learned with the hiring part was that with that had to be coupled with firing or letting someone go that didn't fit the team. And what I found over the last year was the team trusts us to hire whoever, whenever, because they also trust that we will let go the people that don't fit the team. And I think that was the missing part I had prior. And by having that mental kind of mindset, anyone that comes in, they're embraced by the team, they're fully welcomed, and the team realizes that if something were to change and it doesn't work out, that they trust you and I to be the leaders we need to be, and that person won't stay longer than they're supposed to. So that was a big kind of just eye opener, and it's been really, really awesome.
Yeah, that is a really big one because people, like a business owner will think like one thing, like, oh, I'm protecting the staff. I don't want to upset them. But in reality, you owe it to the business
Mm-hmm.
to protect the business first. And then when you
Or the business
prove,
isn't there.
right, and when you prove that to your staff, then there's no, I don't want to use, I guess I'll use the word backlash from your staff when
Mm-hmm.
you bring someone on and it shakes things up because it's viewed as a positive.
They trust the
Like they know
process.
that you're doing what's best for the business
Right.
and
And
not,
they want that business to be there next year or
yes.
year 4. Yeah.
And I think it's probably even more important with a commission salon structure because everyone's always afraid, like, oh, my staff's going to leave if I make a change,
Mm-hmm.
and then what? And then I lose all this business, and I can't keep my doors open, and I don't
Right.
have it in me to rebuild again, and all the stuff we hear all the time, see
Totally.
all the time. But at the end of the day, and we just had this conversation with someone that we mentor, you are the one that's responsible for the business. You wanted to
Yeah.
be the owner. You wanted to sign up for that role. And part of that is making difficult decisions sometimes, such as letting someone go.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's easy because the person's not a good fit or they're just straight up a jerk. You know what I mean?
Right.
Those are easy.
Yep.
Those are easy ones. The difficult ones are where you have a person that I mean, at least for me, that you believe in a little more than maybe believes in themselves,
Yes.
and they just aren't a good fit, but you want them to be. And
Mm-hmm.
you're like, I know I can help this person. You've got to get over that. And I struggle with it because I want to help. You want to help everyone, right?
Yes.
And you think you can, but then
Mm-hmm.
you have to realize that you cannot. And it is better overall to put your effort into the people that are, I'll say, deserving, like
Yeah.
deserving of your effort, because we put a lot of effort into it. Like if people need stuff, we try to make it happen.
Absolutely.
Whether it's like
Yes.
just having an ear for people to, talk to, or professional growth, or whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
So very cool. Yeah. Always be hiring.
Yes.
We
So, oh, go
have,
ahead.
I was just going to say, we have the way that we've been doing things is we actually have started to accumulate a wait list.
Yes.
And I've talked about it a little bit before, but I'm proud of that because I see all these salons out there that are like now hiring, now hiring, now hiring.
Hmm.
And I'm like, we don't advertise that we're hiring
Right.
ever. I think we might have in the past. I don't remember. I've definitely used different things like probably when we first opened, I
Hmm.
used like Indeed and things like that. And I actually had some good luck on there. We had a lot of conversations with people, but we haven't had to do any of that stuff. Just have people reaching out based on what we're doing, the work that we're putting out, events that we're involved in, the just getting out in the community and being around people, helps a
Yeah,
lot. It's not just
absolutely.
about clients, it's you get staff from that too. We were at an event
Right.
yesterday and I don't know how many clients you got, like six, eight.
6 or 7. I don't even
Yeah,
know. I was like, oh my God.
all of a sudden people are just booking appointments, but that's because we now notice what I didn't say. I didn't say social media, and I'm not against social media, but if you're always posting that you're hiring on social media and it's not working, you might want to
Try something
try
else.
something new. Yeah. So, anyways, go ahead. What do you have next?
Okay, so my next thing was yes, we do have the wait list, but what we are constantly doing, and I have, I love what we've done this last year, is having people that want to potentially work with us coming into shadow, and then we're always taking interviews. And what that does, or what I've realized that does for why I think we have like people on a wait list for wanting to work for us is allow us to have a pulse on the generations that are coming out of hair school and coming out of high school and what they want out of jobs. Because if we don't, as owners, understand what the next generation wants, we aren't going to be ready to pivot and innovate and be ready for their, I was going to say demands. That sounds negative, but ready for the wants and needs of their workplace and their new professionalism into the hair industry. So by continuously having people come in shadow and interview, we get to hear the strengths and weaknesses that the schools are giving them technically, but also their desires in their future work home or work salon. And we're able to kind of be ahead of like, okay, how are we going to meet these needs in the next 2 years? And if we're always kind of ahead like that, we're able to just keep a really great culture under the Hello roof. So that is something that we've done over the last year, and it's been very positive. And it always has new people in the salon, whether they're working for us or not. They're in just being under the culture, and it's neat to see the staff react to that too.
I think part of it is that we decided early on that innovation was one of our core values
Yes.
and that we were going to constantly be in pursuit of something.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that X is irrelevant, but you have to constantly be in
Mm-hmm.
pursuit of it or you allow complacency to set in.
Right.
So one of the things we've done, and I chuckle at this, and it's not in a negative chuckle like at the person, but I'll be at like a business event or a meeting or even on a group online, and I see the same thing over and over, which is these owners that are complaining, saying, the younger generation doesn't work like we did. Yes, correct.
Get over
And
it.
instead of trying to force that model down
Yeah.
someone's throat, maybe if you made some changes, you would
Mm-hmm.
be more enticing. If you constantly have people leaving, if you constantly are struggling to hire, this is going to be hard to hear, but it's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, you chose to open the business. So
Right.
everything falls on you, the good stuff and the bad stuff.
Correct.
So you've got to get over your ego if that's the issue, or you have to maybe you just are unaware. Maybe you think that running a salon today as it was run 35 years ago is a good idea. If you're listening to this and you're like, why would it not be? Go listen to all of our
Yeah.
episodes.
It's
We
not.
explain it over and over. You have to make changes or else
Yeah.
or I like the word pursuit. You have to be in constant pursuit of
Yeah.
whatever, something. Pick one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not willing to give it an honest effort, meaning if you're just going to throw up some posts on social media and be like, no one ever comes in, well, that's not really a great effort. You're just posting on social media. No one
Right.
saw that,
Right.
maybe your clients and your friends follow you, but it's difficult to get reach on social media. So yeah, make some changes.
Yes. Okay, so my next one, this was a big one because I didn't really understand any of this or even what this next three letters meant, which is SEO. So SEO, search engine optimization, correct? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is something that I've had never used in my last salon, and it is something that has a monthly cost to it. And then when coupled with Google and Google ads and all that has another cost to it. And as a business that had just opened and tried to open during COVID, so it was a huge struggle and financially was a huge setback because of the circumstances. We tried a few things for advertising, and this SEO is something Todd's talked about for a long time, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it. And when we talked about what it would cost and the long-term effects, it was a marathon approach. I was like, well, we can't afford that. And Todd kind of came to me like, well, we can't afford not to, because otherwise, how are we getting business? So somewhere we have to take a risk and figure out where we can make this happen and pay to have this presence on Google. Otherwise, kind of what you were just saying, on social media, like your circle is so small, you're not reaching enough people. And we knew we had to drive business as quick as we could and at as large as we could in order for this salon to make it. So, when you're looking at these numbers and you don't have enough money coming in, how do you figure out how to put money into your business and how to really market in a way that you can reach all of your surrounding towns and more? So this is something we have done, I think, for 2 or 3 years. Todd, you can correct me on that.
I would say at least two,
Okay, so at least 2 years,
maybe
and
more.
was not, and it was a very financial strain in the beginning. So I was like, how is this going to work? And there were months where I'm like, this is just stupid. We're spending so much money. Why are we doing this? And I'm saying that because we're coming into year 4, and I'll say the last 5 months ish, holy shit, that stuff works, but it takes time. And the true, like Todd would have to remind me every month, like, Jen, this is not a quick fix. It's not going to happen overnight. But all of these things that Todd does with the company we've hired, with Google and all of the behind the scenes stuff has just really come together. And I see people posting they're having slow times. And that would have been us if we hadn't put the investment and the money back into the business for this type of marketing. And it blows my mind because every day, rather than look at the holes in the schedule, I know it's filling in, whether it's through online, through Google, something's coming our way. And it took, like I said, at least 2 years to get to this point. So if you're struggling with your salon not being busy, this is going to be a strategy that takes some time, but the investment pays off if you stick with it long enough. So that was huge for me.
Yeah, and if you need a recommendation, I'm happy to share who we use and get you in touch with them. Just reach out.
Yeah.
There's a little message us. You can email, you can call if you have my number, text or whatever, but there's a little message us in the show notes on, I think, most apps, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And that is something that I think SEO is overwhelming to people because they don't understand it, which is fine. You don't have to understand it.
And I learned that too. It doesn't have to be something I wrap my mind around, but I understand how it works and the time that it might take.
Yeah. And what I would say to people is you can start doing some research. I would recommend you move quickly because the best time to start is 2 years ago. And the second best time to start is right now. So you can't go back in time. Just do some research. You might be able to optimize a little bit of your website on your own. You might be able to figure out some stuff and get it going and get to a point where you're like, I don't know what else to do. And that's when you can reach out to somebody and just even have a conversation and find out maybe your salon's in a different spot than ours was, and you are able to just afford it. And you're like, oh, that's not as big of a deal as I thought initially, or maybe it's a lot of money to you and it's something that you work towards in the near future. I don't know, but I would definitely recommend looking into SEO and online and all that stuff. It puts people on your website. And that is really good. That's what you want. You want to get, I know a lot of people want to get followers and stuff on Instagram, but unless it's putting people in your chair,
right,
it's sort of irrelevant. Like unless followers are paying you, which I guess if you have a lot of followers and you're doing ads and stuff, but then you're not talking about getting hair clients, you're talking about being a content creator. So,
right.
And that's fine. I'm not knocking it.
Pick your path.
You can do both if you want, but if you're struggling, I would say to probably pick something. Yeah, like you said, Jen, pick your path, and then be in constant pursuit of that goal, whatever your goal is.
And then the other thing, which is a two part that I have that I've learned this last year, is that Google reviews matter. And the more you can get, the better it is for
Oh
everything.
yeah, it helps so much.
So I think
Good, bad, medium, bring them all up.
all of them, Google, just who cares what kind of review you're getting? Google reviews are great. So we struggled with how do we get these reviews and how do we get the staff to.
Is that the dog's toy or something?
Yep. So how do we get, we've asked and we have these QR codes on the desk and on the where our stations are so that it's easy for the clients to click and leave a review, but then getting them to click and leave a review wasn't happening. So that was cool. We had these QR codes, they look great. But nothing was happening. So whenever I've realized recently when Todd gets frustrated, I generally get frustrated, but then I'm like, okay, how can we make this happen, right? How can we get this going? So the part I think that I missed prior and I learned this year was we need to have fun. If we can get the staff to have fun and make it a game, they're like, I want this. And there needs to be rewards in there. So a game with a reward, we got this. So we started get a Google review. And when you hit certain marks, we're going to give you spin the wheel. We're going to give you a prize. We're going to give you money. And we got people that had a blast and got a bunch of reviews. And here's the other part, and I've learned this over last year. Those that want to do the contest and be in the games, cool. If you don't, that's fine. I'm not worried about those that don't want to play the game. We just focused on the ones that wanted to be part of our Google review fun party game thing and celebrated them. It's easy too, I think, to look at why aren't these people engaging? Who cares? Focus on the ones that want to engage. So the staff that want to be part of this Google review and game and get ahead, those are the ones that are now getting a ton of clients because they're like, I saw your reviews and your name was mentioned. And it didn't just get them the review and cool, it got them to understand. And a lot of them came back with the feedback of, wow, thank you so much for helping me get these reviews because I'm seeing clients come in, brand new ones that are reading online about my services. So it was something we had explained to them, but they weren't catching on. But when we did it in a fun way and made it fun, they saw the results. They understood what the actions were doing for them. And it was a win-win for the business and for the staff. So have fun.
For sure. And the reason we don't focus on the people that don't want to play along. So we do these review challenges. We just started another one last month. And there will be people that choose not to do it. That's okay. Something I say, and not to be mean, is the team that takes you from 1 to 10 is not the same team that takes you from 10 to 100. So, and that's in anything in business or sports or whatever. So, eventually people that don't want to play along, I'm not going to drop what I'm doing down to their level. I'm going to keep moving forward, and those people will probably phase themselves out. And I'm not worried about it because, like I said earlier, I have a wait list of people that want to work with us. So, and again, I think I expressed this to you recently. Like, I really enjoy this version of Hello Hair. I like the team. I think everyone has a ton of potential. I think even the people at the, sort of top levels in our salon are, I think even figuring things out and realizing like they have so much more in the tank if they choose to. It's up, it's up to them. Some people get comfortable where they're at. Some people are in constant pursuit of excellence, and they just want to get better. I think that's all I had on that one.
All right. Those are my top things I learned this last year at Hello.
One of the big things that I learned recently, and I'll say not this year, but over the course of the last maybe 3 years, 2 years or so, is that you have to nudge things. Some stuff requires finesse. So it can be easy to look at for example, all the online gurus that tell you how to run your business and you're going to make millions of dollars and become a 8-figure stylist and all this stuff. It's easy to look at that and get overwhelmed because you're like, I have to do all this stuff and all my clients are going to leave or my staff's going to quit and whatever. And you're right. That could happen to you when you try to force things. Kind of want to write out a game plan. Maybe it's a 5-year or 10-year game plan because business is not, overnight success. Like that's what people think. But, generally there's decades of work and groundwork and foundational things that happen before businesses start to see success. So where was I going with that?
The finesse.
Oh, yeah. So you're not going to implement everything all at the same time. You're going to have to like slowly nudge these things along. And we're big on explaining the why to our team. I don't have a problem explaining why we charge what we charge for certain products or whatever, because there's a reason. I don't have a problem explaining. I had a client recently that was like, is this the only color line you use? Because blah, 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 blah. And they had concerns. Their concerns are valid, but my answer was yes. And here's why. This is why we choose to use this is why, because we've already figured out what our business looks like. I don't have to second guess it constantly
Right.
and reinvent the wheel. But when you don't have a why, or your why is not strong enough, you're going to be just guessing. You're guessing at stuff, or you're blaming stuff. That's another thing
Yes.
that we see a lot is people will blame, you know, they blame their staff. Well, you hired them. They,
Right.
you blame a product line. Well, you didn't do your due diligence, I guess. Or you blame whatever. You can blame the weather. You know, you find people that'll blame anything. Is that Ollie? But so that was one of my big takeaways that when I was thinking about when we were going to record this episode, was just to be willing to nudge things slowly and break things down for people and support people and encourage them, you know, and then like you were saying, to celebrate also.
Yeah.
So those are the big lessons I think that I'm sure the second that we stop recording, like a
You're
big
like,
revelation will
wait.
pop in my mind, but I think that was it.
Cool.
Cool. All right.
Yeah. Hopefully there's some takeaways there.
And if not, it's not our fault. Someone else's fault. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. Jump in, leave a comment, give us a rating, good or bad. Yeah, we love it all. Come at us. All right. We'll talk to you later. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.